Hey, come on over. What do you think of our view, huh?
Gorgeous.
Yeah, love sitting out here in the morning. The good thing is, if you sit facing this way, you have beautiful mountain views. And if you sit, there you go, see, and if you sit facing this way, you kind of have the panoramic view of the ocean, the
Forest.
forest there. And if you sit looking this way, you can actually look out underneath Myungji University, and way, way, way over there is Everland. So it's got some great views. And then look at the garden. Here, check it out. Come check out the garden. All right, check out the garden now. We haven't finished this side, so no looking. Okay, so over here, got my little walkway. See my little walkway here? I'm out here barefooted. Okay, so we just started. Okay, here we go now. Now we have our, right over there. Can you come over here? There you go. Now right there, we have, these are tomatoes. And obviously, you gotta have some sesame leaves there. Now these guys right here, come real close here, see? Can you guys see that? This is bok choy, which I really like bok choy. And then over here, see this little baby guy here? Oh, look at the cute one. That is kosu. We call it cilantro. And over here is spinach, or chigumchi. And there's our different lettuce. We just transplanted the lettuce. And then if you come over here, again, now it's not dead, but there's our grapevine, which we just cut back, so that's going to be grapes. And then these little baby guys here are my little carrots. Oh, look at them. See?
Wow, it's beautiful. The patio and the deck. Where did you get all this?
We built it. For example, when we came here, if you look over here, the big rocks, the big stones they had, but we went and bought a bunch of bricks. So we laid all the bricks, and then you'll see the wood. You can see kind of the wood trim. That's just decking material that we did. Now the deck here, we just bought the material. It wasn't that hard to put together. The key thing is you have to have the tools, the right tools.
So you built it?
Yeah, I built this, and we did the deck and a bunch of other stuff.
I thought you're a professor.
Yeah, I'm a professor, definitely, but I wasn't always a professor. You know, I started about 7-8 years ago here at Myungji, but before this, I actually lived in Hawaii. See my hat and my shorts? Yeah, so I was in Hawaii for a long time, and I had some different businesses. One of them was a construction company. So I learned how to do all this stuff. But the interesting story is where it all started. Now, for my class, you know, I teach English conversation, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. So we talked about things that happen in your life that made a difference, like when you have a cause and effect, or the second conditional, like if you do this, then something else happens. You know, actually, I learned to do construction when I was in university. So I started as a forestry major, and I've always liked the outdoors. You can see here our beautiful background. But the problem was in my university, for the first like 3 semesters, I could not get in. I couldn't register for a forestry class because they were very full. And so I took a class in architecture and whole earth engineering, and then I found out I kind of liked that area. So we had a thing called industrial technology. So I changed my major, and there we learned synthetics, woods, metals. I had to take physics and chemistry, different types of engineering. And because of that, I learned how to do a lot of building and construction and those things. I started with one area, forestry, and then if I never started doing forestry, I would have never became industrial technology. So that was my major. And then because I changed my major, a few years later after I left college, I moved to Hawaii, and started some businesses. So you never know what happens. You might start at Myungji, or you might start as an engineering student, and you may end up getting a job in a totally different field. That's the good thing about life. You never know what's going to happen. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is your first test. Your very first test. What we're going to do is pretty easy. We're going to do something called show and tell. Now, when I was in elementary school, as probably anywhere from first grade up to fifth grade, we would have to bring something into class, and then we would tell the students about what we had. And show and tell is just taking something that's important to you. Maybe a hat has symbolic meaning, or maybe a stuffed animal, or it could be an item, it could be your computer or your laptop, something that you have that you can show your partner. So on the Zoom, you'll actually have it there, so you're going to show them what it is. And if you don't have that, if it's, say, maybe it's your home and you're not home, you can get a picture of the thing that you want to talk about. So you're going to actually show that, and then you're going to tell your partner about it. And what I want to do to explain a little more is, let's go take a look in my office. I have something that I made back in college, and that's why I talked to you about my time in university. There was an item I made to graduate, was you had to do a project in the different courses you had. Well, in my wood technology, I actually built something out of wood that I still have today. Would you like to see it?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's go over and take a look at it. All right, follow me. Come on in. I want to show you that object I made in college. There it is. Look at that. Can you guys tell what that is? Yes, it is a wooden box. It is made out of black walnut, which is one of my favorite. You can see the bottom has felt, my little hinges. Now, can you guys tell what that is? Well, this obviously, if you know instruments, is a harmonica box. So if you open it up, ta-da! Wow, look at that. Yes, it's a bunch of little harmonicas, because it's my harmonica box. When I used to play concerts in a band, I would bring it. Now, obviously, like, there's a C harmonica, and this is an A. Let's see what we got over here. There's an E. So you can see that each key is different on the harmonica. So let's open it up. Okay. Oh, look at that. Now, see? That is a golden melody. See? It's a baby. Look how little it is and cute. The harmonica box is shaped like the harmonica. It has the same thing. See, it has the little holes here for the reeds. This one has all these. See, it has a little baby screw. Right there, little baby screw. There's my little baby screw. You can see that the area where it's bent and then curves up, you see it has the exact same shape. Okay, the reason this harmonica box is important to me is because it was the first thing I ever made when I realized that I had a skill at making things. And so it's important to me because it was a big change in my thinking and why I changed majors. Also, I realized I had a skill in building and constructing things. Is one reason I started my own business. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the harmonica box, what it was made out of, and why I made it. And I wanted to share the specialness is because it helped me decide to change majors, showed me I had a talent, and helped me start my first business. All right, so let's look at a little bit on how we do the scoring.
So let's explain what the test is all about. Remember, show. You need to bring something to show. Now, I talked about what kind of wood it was and how I made it and what was on the bottom. So I showed you and gave a little story about my harmonica box. So remember, what you need to do is bring something you can show. Now, if you do not have that, again, if you can get a picture of it, that's okay. But try to bring something that you can show them and then explain why it's important to you. Most things that we have that are important to us, they always have a little story behind them. So try to give some information about what it is and where you got it, why it's important to you, maybe where you got it, or who was with you, any little story you want. Usually the show and tell, the show part and the tell part are only about, I don't know, a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes. You don't have to go super long, but try to give information. Now, 10 of your points will be showing the item and explaining it. So if you do a good job and you explain everything well, we're going to give you 10 points. If you're too short and you're like, oh, this is a box and it's really nice and I like it. If you're just too weak on your explanation or you're not too good, that would be 8 points. So if you're good, you get 10 points. And if it's not so good or really short, you would get 8 points. So still a passing grade, but better if you actually make a little effort. So that's 10 points. Now, when you're done, okay, or when your partner's done explaining it for that 10 points, talking about the item, the next 20 points are made this way. 10 points, you need to ask your partner 3 questions. So when your partner is talking, I want you to ask them at least 3 questions and try to get some information, like maybe what it was made out of, or maybe like why they bought it or where they got it. Don't forget to ask 3 questions. That's worth 10 points. The last 10 points are where we get our grammar in there. Now, our grammar talked about when you're repeating or you're reporting on what somebody else said. Now remember, when somebody's talking to you, they say, I did this or we did this, and they could be talking about something now. But if you're to tell me, hey teacher, you would say, if it was a male, you'd say, he said this. Or if your partner's female, you'd say, she said that. Now you would use that, she said. So the pronoun changes. And don't forget that you have to change the tense to, she said that when she was in college, or when she went to Japan. Don't forget to change the tense. So when you're explaining to me, you're going to say, hey, teacher, he said that the harmonica box is important to him because he had made it in college and he learned he had a skill. And because he had a skill, he started a business and made a lot of money in Hawaii, and his life was good because he had his own business. Try to explain to me what your partner said. So remember, if your partner is talking about a hat, maybe a New York hat, your partner's talking about the New York hat, ask them 3 questions. And when your partner's done, again, you're going to look at me and say, hey, teacher, she said that this New York hat was important to her because she went to New York with her mother and her father said, no, you cannot buy a hat. But her mother's like, shh, here, come. And her mother bought it for her, and the hat represents the relationship with her and her mother, okay? So what you're gonna do again, 10 points, showing and telling, 10 points asking the 3 questions, and 10 points will be telling me what your partner said. Now don't get too stressed out. Pretty much all of my students have done this test, no problem. Try to prepare something. It is worth 30 points, but it's not really technically that hard. Most of you can talk about something and you could tell me what somebody said, okay?